NATO command continued monitoring the Black Sea basin from the stratosphere after a year-long break. Thus, a strategic UAV RQ-4B Global Hawk of the US Air Force with the call sign Fort 10 appeared over the sea area at a distance of 300 kilometers from the Crimean coast. Moreover, now a UAV of a private company is also being used for this purpose. Since April the 30th, a SAAB 340B ISR electronic reconnaissance apparatus of the Canadian company CAE Aviation has been patrolling over the western and southwestern zone of the Black Sea. The emergency situation with the American aircraft occurred on June the 23rd last year. Then the RQ-4B Global Hawk took off. The flight mission was carried out for almost a day when on the night of the 24th an incident occurred involving our interceptor. That time a Russian MiG-31 allegedly flew in close proximity to the American bird at high speed, creating powerful turbulence that knocked the Global Hawk off course, and it turned home in emergency mode. The parties did not officially confirm this information, but did not deny it either. However, after that, the resource-intensive reconnaissance aircraft no longer appeared near our shores. Here's another example. On May the 21st, 2024, a modification of the above-mentioned UAV, the NATO Air Force RQ-4D Phoenix, with the call sign Magma 10, was circling over the western part of the Black Sea. The drone had been in flight for a little over an hour and had not yet entered the combat duty zone when the event code 7600 loss of radio signal was sent to the control panel. Then the device safely returned to the Sicilian airbase of Sigonella. By the way, in Russia there is, if not an analogue, then at least a comparable alternative to these foreign models, the heavy reconnaissance and attack drone Altius RU. The fact that it is inferior to the American competitor in terms of ceiling and speed is compensated by a longer flight duration and relatively low cost. Perhaps it is used, but nothing is known about it. RQ-4 Global Hawk, created under the auspices of the Teledyne Ryan Aeronautical Corporation from the USA by its subsidiary Northrop Grumman, entered service with the US Navy in 2004. Suffice it to say that in 2012, the price of the product reached $140 million. An hour of stay in the sky cost $31,000, although in 2014 the specific costs decreased to $24,000. This is the largest and most massive device in its class, with a length of 13.3 meters, a wingspan of 35 meters and a takeoff weight of 15 tons. The radius of the device is 5.5 thousand kilometers with a daily presence in a given zone. The maximum period of stay in the sky is 36 hours with a maximum speed of 637 kilometers an hour. The ceiling is 18,000 meters with a flight range of 22.8 thousand kilometers. RQ-4D Phoenix is a more advanced version. The North Atlantic Alliance's ground surveillance force, created in 2015, has been using such a UAV since March 2022. It can fly 16.1 thousand kilometers at a maximum speed of 575 kilometers an hour and a ceiling of 18.3 thousand meters. The product is equipped with a ground tracking radar based on multi-platform radar technologies. NATO reconnaissance aircraft activity over the Black Sea coincided with the negotiations process regarding the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. So, on the very day of the Istanbul negotiations, May the 16th, the American anti-submarine aircraft Boeing PA-8 Poseidon successfully conducted reconnaissance at a distance of only 100 kilometers from Novorossiysk, where the main squadron of the Black Sea Fleet is currently based. On May the 26th, its appearance was recorded off the coast of Sochi and Tuapse. Poseidon had never flown so far to the east before. Its traditional patrol zone was mainly located within Romanian territorial waters. As reported, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that Germany, Great Britain, France and the United States have lifted restrictions on the range of weapons supplied to Ukraine. The Kremlin called this decision dangerous because this step allegedly runs counter to Russia's aspirations for a political settlement of the war. Ukrainian military expert Yevgeny Diki says that there are interesting nuances. The question arises, do we physically have what to implement this kind permission with? That is, if we were simply allowed to use long-range missiles, then this mission, in fact, concerns the very few Shadow and Scalp missiles. Yes, we have them, but firstly, they were not given to us in such a truckload as we needed. Secondly, we actively use them, so it is clear that there could not be many left. That is, if we were talking only about the remains of Storm Shadow and Scalp and their probable use, then this is a so-so story. But if Friedrich Merz's speech is not only about permission, but about the actual announcement of the transfer of Taurus missiles to us, then this is very useful. After all, such permission, plus their 500-kilometer range, is a kind of hello to the GRAU arsenals. Hello specifically to the enemy's strategic command posts, he said. According to him, in fact, Ukraine has 3 groups of main objects on the territory of Russia that are of great interest to Ukraine. First, these are military warehouses of strategic importance, not tactical level. But just because we, with our own forces, with the help of our own UAVs, took out 4 GRAU arsenals, we almost halved the intensity of enemy artillery fire at the front. That is, the destruction of such objects really works, and this means that this direction must be developed and continued. The second is the blows to the circulatory system of Russia, the oil refining industry. For some reason, we write little about this, but, for example, in the Rostov region of Russia and in some of the southern Ukrainian regions occupied by Russians, gasoline is already available by coupons and with queues. At the same time, strangely enough, these coupons were introduced exactly 2 weeks after we hit the Rostov oil refinery. By the way, this demonstrates Russia's real priorities when it first saves on the civilian population and even the last liter of fuel that remains will go to the Russian army. But we must really do everything to make this liter really the last one. Finally, the third category of objects that are interesting for us to strike are critically important enterprises of the Russian defense industry. I would not say that I see now a very competent strategy of ours for knocking out such enterprises, but I would call such a strategy a bearing strategy. What is meant? The fact is that during the Second World War, a similar dilemma was already being solved by the Allies, the United States and Britain. They were then deciding which objects in Germany would be bombed by their long-range aviation. He said,